Hey there guys, I'm here with another prediction game video for Battleground 2014. This is Chris Jericho versus Bray Wyatt, a match that is going to take place this Sunday. Now, this is Chris Jericho's first match back. Oftentimes, when a superstar comes back and it's their first pay-per-view match, I'll go with them as the winner of the match. Now, in this case, it is part of the reason why I think Chris Jericho is going to win this, but it's not the only reason. Now, if you look back at the past couple of years, the past few years that Jericho's, made his returns, and I'm talking about like since 2007 when he did that whole Save Us thing. Ever since then, actually, you know what? Maybe not since 2007. Maybe the return after that, which honestly I don't remember when that was. I think maybe 2010, something like that. I'm not sure. It might have been 2011. I don't know, but basically these past few years, whenever Jericho would come back, he'd come back and put over superstars. He wasn't coming back and getting wins left and right and beating up and coming superstars or even main eventers. He was there, he was involved in some championship matches, but oftentimes he'd be losing in those matches. Thus, giving his opponent or opponents a big win over, a former world champion and WWE champion. And this time around, in this return, I think it's the same thing. He's there to put over superstars, and in this case, Bray Wyatt. And even when I talk about Rob Van Dam nowadays, his role is kind of like Jericho's role, where, right now he's pretty much just putting over superstars. He's winning some matches here and there, but he's been used mostly to put over other superstars, like Del Rio, Wade Barrett, or Bad News Barrett, and such. Now, here's the thing with Chris Jericho returning right now and right away getting into this feud and pay-per-view match, his first pay-per-view match back against Bray Wyatt. Now, I know I just went over how Jericho is there to put superstars over. So, some people might be wondering, like, okay, then, why is Jericho winning this? Why do you think Jericho wins this match if you think he's there to put people over, if you think he's there to put Bray over, which I think he is? Well, you don't necessarily need to win every single match in a feud to, to put somebody over. And in a feud, usually there's a few matches, not just one match. And I think it's the case here. I think they're going to have 2, maybe even 3 matches ending at Night of Champions. Between Jericho and Bray Wyatt. And you can't really have a feud that's just one-sided, or like a feud where the other person does not get a victory. Like, why would the feud continue if, let's say, Bray Wyatt beats him at Battleground and then also beats him at SummerSlam? There's just, like, no point for the feud to continue on. And in my opinion, if Jericho loses this match, it doesn't do as much for Bray Wyatt than if he were to win this match and then maybe lose the following match. Now, some of you might be wondering why I'm thinking that. See, here's the thing with Jericho. He's been putting over superstars now for a while, for a couple of years, like I said. And, think about the last time we saw Jericho. What was Jericho doing? What do you guys remember from Jericho the last time he was on TV before he returned like 2 weeks back or so? What I remember is he lost. Well, first off, of course, he had put over Fandango at WrestleMania, so he lost to Fandango. And although he did beat him at Extreme Rules, though, the following pay-per-view, but also he had lost to Dolph Ziggler. Which took him off TV for a while also, because it was a match on Raw where if Jericho wins, he would win Ziggler's Money in the Bank briefcase, but if Ziggler wins, then, Jericho's fired, so Jericho was fired. And also after that, Once CM Punk returned, and CM Punk returned as a face, he also lost to CM Punk at Payback. And then the following pay-per-view, Money in the Bank, he also lost to Ryback. And then after that, he also lost, his last match actually was against Curtis Axel, and he lost to Curtis Axel. And that was his last match on TV. After that, Ryback attacked him after that match, and that was it. That was the last time we saw Jericho. So, that's a lot of losses, and, you know, one attack to sum it up, or to end it. So now, with him being back, and his first pay-per-view match being against Bray Wyatt, Jericho doesn't exactly have, like, you know, a winning streak behind him, or any huge victories behind him. I mean, you know, since returning, he has beaten The Miz in a roll-up victory over Luke Harper, but that's about it as far as wins goes when it comes to Jericho since returning. So, if Bray were to win this Sunday, I mean, it would still be a victory over Jericho. It's not, you know, just some random win or anything like that. It's over Jericho. But I think it'd be better if Jericho were to score, you know, a big win first, just to, hey, reestablish that, you know, I'm Jericho here, you know, former world champion, and, you know, he can win some big matches. And he's not just there to, I guess, lose a bunch of matches, you know? Because, like I said, the last we saw of Jericho before his return was him losing like 10 matches in a row or something like that. Okay, maybe not 10, you know, I'm exaggerating, but losing a bunch of matches and, you know, getting taken out before leaving again for a couple months. So, I think it'd be better for Jericho to first, you know, score a significant win, in this case, against Bray Wyatt himself, and then have Bray Wyatt beat Jericho maybe 2 pay-per-views in a row, or maybe just 1. I think it'd be better that way than to have Bray just beat Jericho here, and maybe Jericho beats him on the 2nd pay-per-view, and then Bray beats him on the 3rd one, or whatever happens. I just think, in most cases, I would, you know, think the heel winning is better in the first match, but in this case, I think it'd be better for the face, Jericho, to win the first match because of the circumstances. And, you know, it's a good example of this would be, you know, undefeated superstars. For instance, Rusev. If, let's say, if Swagger were to turn face and Rusev didn't have this undefeated streak. Let's say he like won 1 match and lost 1 match. So he's, you know, he 1 win, 1 loss. And he were to take on Swagger, and Swagger beats Rusev. You know, that match really doesn't mean much. The win really doesn't mean much. And it's just not that big of a deal. But if you build Rusev up with this undefeated streak, it makes it that much bigger of a matchup, and it makes the win that much better because, hey, he just defeated this guy with an undefeated streak. Now, of course, Jericho doesn't have like an undefeated streak or anything, but what I'm trying to say here is, you know, the win is bigger if the win is against somebody who's been winning, or, you know, has been winning big matches, or recently won a big match, rather than a victory over somebody who's just been losing a lot. Now, of course, you know, Jericho is a former world champion, like I said, and, you know, he's got all these accolades, but, you know, it's no secret, he's been losing a lot. Now, on the other hand, you've also got Bray Wyatt, who just came out of a feud against John Cena, and he came out of the feud on the losing end. He lost the last match, and he also lost the first match. He only lost, he only won one of the matches, and it was a steel cage match, and it was pretty much a handicap match because Luke Harper and Eric Rowan got in and interfered, and John Cena was still about to win despite, you know, Eric Rowan and Luke Harper's interference, and of course Bray Wyatt. The only thing that stopped Cena from winning is, you know, some little kids singing, and then Bray Wyatt just escaped. So he's also coming off, you know, a few losses, and of course, another loss isn't going to help his case or anything like that. But he's facing off here against a former champion, you know, a very accomplished superstar. So a loss here, especially if it's done by, like, you know, a roll-up, a surprise victory, a surprise code breaker, or something like that maybe. I'm thinking a roll-up. It's not going to hurt Bray either. Instead, what it's going to do, in my opinion, is make Bray's eventual victory against Jericho that much better, that much bigger. And also, it'll help reestablish that, hey, this is Chris Jericho. He's still a top star, and you can never count him out, as he can still win big matches. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, you can click that like button. I'd really appreciate it. And I'm out. See you guys.